What is going on, everybody? It's good to see you guys again. This isn't the regular season. Obviously, we're a little bit less than a month away from that. It's Josh and Cliffy. We got a lot less facial hair than the last time we saw you. People are asking about pizza. What's going on? 23 people already. You guys are just starving for hockey content, but we're here. We're going to do a best ball draft. We'll talk a little bit about other stuff, I guess. I mean, obviously, the last time we saw you was April, May. I don't even remember. But Panthers went back-to-back. Not a super big surprise there. The big surprise there was the Leafs going into Florida Game 6 and absolutely working them, and then laying a stinker at home ice in Game 7. And then, Florida just ended up, taking over. That team is really good. They re-signed all their pieces. Kachuk's going to be out for a while, but, haven't seen you guys in a few months. Joining me as always, Slim Cliffy. We stay in touch, but how's your summer been going?
Yeah, not too bad. Working on a lot of stuff individually just to get ready for the hockey season, just practicing some new programming and stuff that I'm still trying to get used to. Really ready for the NHL season. Yeah, those playoffs, like that first round was incredible. Remember that Winnipeg St. Louis series, just how good that was. Panthers did it again. Maybe the clock's running out in Edmonton. We'll see what happens. But last year was last year. Obviously, we all have to talk about last year when we talk about players we're going to be drafting in the Underdog Best Puck. And if anybody wants in, I dropped the link in the chat for the Best Puck draft that we're doing. It's over on Underdog. $15 buy-in, $15 US, so about 50 Canadian. And you get put in groups of 12. You have to finish top two to advance, and then you go to a bigger tournament. It's a really fun draft. And even if you don't necessarily like playing like best ball, and if you do like typical season-long fantasy, it's a good way to get some practice in on the drafting, like where players are going, ADPs that are changing. Like, we'll talk about ADPs a little bit later, but there are some guys that a month ago were pretty good values, and now it's like, do I really want to draft them? We'll definitely talk about that. So lots to talk about. It wasn't the craziest offseason, but there were a few big trades and, one big signing down in Carolina. We'll talk about all that. So, NHL season, 1 month, 4 weeks from today. When the season starts, rookie camps are this weekend, training camps open next week. So it's right around the corner here. Yeah.
And 75 people in here right now. You guys are really starting more content. I remember last season we were doing this with like 20, 25 people. Braden left already because I slammed the Leafs right out of the gate. But what do you expect from me, man? Like, I gotta stay true to the Leafs. They suck. Watch, like, Mitch Marner gonna be the best player of all time next to Jack Eichel. Let's just, he's finally gets to play with a real center. And I started a pizza channel over the summer. I got bored. I need to stop eating pizza because I look like my face is taking up the whole screen. But yeah, I'm excited for the regular season as well. We need 2 more, and then we'll get started. You're telling me, actually, funny story. Funny enough, like, I guess last week we were talking real quick about how my internet, one cloud, orange, red, and then I was telling you the specs of my computer, and you're like, you're an idiot. Like, you need better stuff. I was like, I had some like $70 refurbished laptop from Guam, and you're basically like, you need this to stream better. So we upgraded the equipment here. I haven't even seen my internet buffering here. So now DJ Mitchell from the Moods podcast, only one left with bad internet. So maybe he needs to upgrade his equipment, but I have been clear, right?
Yeah, you have been clear. I would also say that you are 5 minutes into the very first YouTube video of the season. We've got like 100 more of these to do. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, so far so good. Josh is all set up for the season. I set up a little bit of my background here today. I'm going to be honest. My office fell into severe disrepair. I had so much stuff all over the place. I really got to clean that this weekend. But we're still 2 people. So if you want to join the best ball draft, just hit the link that I dropped in the chat. Last season was a frustrating season for best ball. I'm not going to lie, because we'll talk about our Columbus Blue Jackets a little bit later. But one thing, Matt Moody from the Morning Skate Pod, he wrote about, and actually I'll drop that link about his manifesto in the chat right now, talking about, who advanced, who did what in best ball last year. Like the Columbus Blue Jackets were on a lot of advancing teams, specifically Zach Werenski. And Zach Werenski was my most drafted defenseman, second most drafted player behind Macklin Celebrini last year, or third most, behind Celebrini and Fantilli. I had a lot of teams advance. Like I only drafted, I think, 19 teams, and I had 12 or 13 advanced. So like I did pretty well in the regular season, but I just did not go deep. Columbus kind of ran out of steam offensively over the last month of the season. I had some New Jersey Devil stack. Jack Hughes gets hurt, crashes into the boards or whatever, like that's all done. So it was kind of frustrating where I had just a dynamite regular season and then it all fell apart in the fantasy playoffs. But that's the way the best puck goes, is you can't, like it's like football just started over the weekend. It's like fantasy football. You can run the table in the regular season and get bounced in your first playoff matchup. That's just kind of the way that goes. So all you can do is kind of put yourself in a good position to advance. Hope you advance, and then hope you get a little bit of luck from there. Hopefully you and I can get a little bit of luck, finish at the top this year. We'll see what happens. You've been drafting a lot so far. Who would you say are a few of the players that kind of jump out at you that you're a little bit surprised that they keep falling and they end up on a lot more teams? Maybe guys that you weren't necessarily targeting, but you're like, geez, this guy's available in the 11th round. I got to take him or something like that.
Yeah, let me look at my exposures right now. My exposure information is
well, yeah, this is a family show.
I don't know why it's not loading on my phone, but interestingly enough, there it goes. Travis Konechny, it's like the 6th, 7th round he's been going. Like he's been going in the mid 70s. And it's not like that is a wild spot for him. Like that spot is fine. The reason I have a lot more Konechny than I do of Matvei Michkov is because Michkov ADP is up into the late 40s now, like end of the 4th round, early 5th. And yes, he's going to have a great season without Torts. He had a really good season with Torts, but you saw towards the end of last season where like they really were like, do your thing without Torts. And that's fine. Like, but there's people in that range that, I still have a good amount of Michkov because I'm not drafting any Flyer centers. So I try to pair Michkov and Konechny together at times. But like Konechny plays over 20 minutes a night. He penalty kills. He's on the power play. That counts for something. If they score one power play goal every 3 months, it's fine. He's usually involved in it. But Konechny's one of them. Thomas Harley is another one. Like we kind of have to wait to get into camp because the Stars have a new coach. But like I have a hard time imagining that Harley isn't the power play quarterback. If you just look at the numbers to when Heiskanen got hurt and what the power play did with Harley compared to Heiskanen, like Miro Heiskanen's still a great best puck player because he blocks a lot of shots and he's involved offensively, but like Harley at the 105-ish, that's something that I'm interested in. And then like goalies going late, I will talk about it, but Lucas Dostal around the 100 pick mark, Jet Greaves, like that's another one we have to get into camp and see if he's going to start. But he's had really, really good numbers in the AHL throughout his career. He has good success in a very limited sample, and goalies are aliens and stuff. But like Merzlikins hasn't been great. So if Jack Greaves is the starter, he's someone I like grabbing late. Our draft is starting here. I have the 6th pick. Cliffy has the 9th pick. This is my 42nd draft. I still have not had the 4th or 5th pick yet. So I have one Kucherov because he fell to 6. But like that's not on purpose. Like if I have the 4th pick, I'm taking Kucherov.
Yeah. We will talk about Jack Greaves a little bit later. I'll just say that I wrote about him a little bit earlier. No, actually it was this morning. I was going to say last week, but it was this morning. What the point I made was that Columbus really wants to make the playoffs again. It's been 5 years since their last time in the playoffs. They were 2 points out last year. Even if Elvis Merzlikins starts the season, if he gives up like 7 or 8 goals in the first 2 games, it's Jack Greaves time. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to let Merzlikins suck for 2 months. So it'll be interesting. So yeah, we are underway. I'll bring up the draft board here real quick. Not a big surprise. Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, 1, 2. We do have Frost back in there. He's picking 8, so he's between us. It'll be interesting to see what Frostback decides to do.
He just found out that hits are a thing. So
yeah, he's a big Anaheim Ducks fan. So good. We'll see where Cutter Gauthier and Jackson Lacombe and those guys go. There goes Kucherov at 4. It's got to be the first time. I suppose Leon Draisaitl went kind of late last year, I believe. No, he went 4th quite a bit. Like typically the top 4 centers, McKinnon, McDavid, Matthews, Draisaitl, in some order, have been the top 4 drafted for years now, like 3-4 years. So can't really argue with Kucherov considering what he's done, and especially that Tampa Bay power play. So Kucherov 4, Pasternak 5. Josh is up.
I mean, I've had the 6th pick not super often, but I had been taking Kaprizov there. This is only my 2nd Draisaitl team, so I'm going to take Draisaitl here. Yeah, we'll bring up the draft board.
Yeah,
if you want to see it.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring it up as soon as Frostback makes his pick here.
I'll probably take.
Actually, it doesn't matter because I have 2 wingers queued. I imagine I'm going to take one of them. He takes Kaprizov. I'm going to take Brady. I have Brady ranked pretty highly. He's my number 4 winger behind Kucherov, Pasternak, and Tkachuk. I'll bring up my projections real quick. Fantasy points per game. I have Brady Tkachuk 4th, Matthew Tkachuk 5th. This is based on a per game basis. Obviously, Tkachuk is going to miss like 3 months or whatever it is, so he's going to be going a lot later. But it just feels like eventually Brady Tkachuk's just got to have that one season where he goes absolutely nuts, right? Where he scores 42 goals, he has 37 assists or something like that, puts up 300 shots. Obviously he hits a ton. I really, really I don't really like drafting guys for floor in the first round, but it feels like Brady Tkachuk is just one of those guys. Like he's not going to finish as the 79th player in fantasy. You know what I mean? Or even outside the top 50, he just shoots and hits so much that even if the production isn't there, he can pick up a lot elsewhere. So I really do like taking Brady Tkachuk. Kaprizov has been falling. If I get into that 7, 8, 9 range and Kaprizov is there, he's the guy I'm taking 100%, but I don't mind taking Tkachuk after that.
If someone just asked, are you drafting Matt Tkachuk? He's actually where his ADP in fast drafts, I'm absolutely not. I'm in a slow draft right now. He went in the 70s. Maybe I'd take a stab there, but it depends on my build. Because if I have a bunch of wingers early, maybe I'll take a stab, but I don't know. That's a lot of production to miss for the first few weeks of this or a few months of the season.
That's the problem, right? Is that, and it's when exactly is he going to be back? Is he back? Well, you know what? I'm going to say screw it.
Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah. See, I'll bring up the draft board. That run of wingers, Forsberg, Connor, Nylander, those were the three wingers I had in my queue to take with my next pick. I have the next guys, your Reinhardt, your Marners, your Panarins in a tier below. And I have Macklin Celebrini at the top of the next tier of centers. It's too high. But here's the thing is that I don't pick again until pick 33, and Celebrini's not going to be there. I genuinely think he's just the best skater best forward left on the board there. So screw it. It's not great value per se, but in the second round, I just want to take who I think is going to be the best player. And for me at that point, it was him or Zach Werenski. And I do think that there are enough defensemen that I can, pass on Werenski in the second round.
Yeah. I mean, Werenski, that's just a really early for Zach Werenski. Like, it's not a knock on the player, but he legitimately needs a repeat of last season and probably a little bit more to pay off at that price. So,
yeah, that's the problem. And, I do think he can do it because, listen, the guy plays 25, 26 minutes. He shoots. He's going to get power play 1. We do think Columbus is going to be a good offensive team again. Like, I have no issue taking him in the second round whatsoever. For me, it's just the fact that I think after the top 4 centers, the next group is Eichel, Celebrini, Jack Hughes. And if I can get any of those guys in the top 20, I'm going to take them over any defenseman except for Cale Makar.
Yeah. Yeah, because those middle rounds, 6, 7, 8, centers are all kind of meh, outside of maybe Larkin and maybe Joel Eriksson Ek if you think he's actually going to turn around his shooting. Because last year he just did not shoot the puck. But, yeah.
So we've seen some goalies go. I think that makes 4 goalies now. I'll bring up the draft board again here real quick. We've seen Hellebuck, Vasilevsky, Ottinger, Shesterkin. 4 goalies in the first 30 picks. It's actually not too bad. You only count 1 goalie a week, but if you're gambling on late goalies and, you take somebody, take Stuart Skinner's the 17th goalie and all of a sudden November rolls around and it's Calvin Pickard gets the starts. And now, you're relying on Tristan Jarry or hopefully Thatcher Demko is healthy and things like that. So can be kind of a tough scene if you wait too long on your goalies.
This is a Cliffy special for you right there. If you go that route.
Well, I went Clayton Keller. So I'll bring up my personal projections a little bit. I have Clayton Keller as my number 12 winger. I have him behind Jesper Bratt, but not too far behind. I like New Jersey a lot. It just feels to me like it's almost like PTSD from drafting the Devils last year, just because Dougie missed 20 games and was not really himself. Obviously, Jack Hughes missed the last 2 months of the season. I didn't have that much Nico Hischier. So Jacob Markstrom basically lost the net to Jake Allen for 2 months. So stacking the Devils really didn't work out well for me last year. And it's just hard to click. Yes, for Brad. I think a lot of us are really high on Utah. They look like one of those teams if that can sneak into the playoffs this year. I was looking at it last week. You're looking at 4 or 5 teams every year changeover in playoff teams. So it's which 4 or 5 teams can make it, and I think Nashville's definitely one of them.
Utah, you mean Nashville?
Yeah, not Nashville. Good God. Yeah. So,
but they do have some interesting pieces for best puck. Because Stamkos was going 3rd, 4th round last year. He's going in the 120-ish range, 115, 120. That's not bad for him. They still Yossi being healthy, they should have a decent power play.
Oh yeah. And I'm going to take Philip Gustafson here. Here's the thing. He's the number one starter. Fleury's gone. And Minnesota's just, their penalty kill wasn't very good last year. Hopefully it's better this year. But year after year after year, they're just one of the best defensive teams at even strength in the league. And I think Minnesota is going to be a good team again this year. Gustafson was the guy that we were drafting last year. Remember last year at this time, it was like, oh, they're going to run 3 goaltenders. And, Jesper Wallstedt's going to get like 20 starts or something like that. And it's like, no, man, like none of that is going to happen. I wish I drafted more Gustafson, but that's the way that goes. But I do like Gustafson. Like, honestly, I hate saying I like the goalie position, but I do think there are a bunch of goalies that I really do like. Dylan Guenther, 43rd overall to Josh here.
He's the straw that stirs the drink on the power play.
Well, I would say Keller does that, but I guess you got to pump the tires of the guy that you just drafted.
Well, it's interesting with them because their top 6 is pretty feisty now. It's another one like, where is Peterka going to play? Are they just going to throw Schmaltz to the wind? What kind of creature is that on the fall decoration? I don't know. I forgot that was up there until you even said something. Who knows? We let my wife decorate, and it's a little bit of peace she gets from dealing with my candy ass 24/7. I'm just like, because I'm like 40 something picks in, I'm not like conscious of who I'm drafting, but I know who I'm light on players that I like, that I want more of, and Dylan Guenther is one of them.
Yeah, I have him as one of the better draft values. I mean, when I did it anyway, amongst the wingers, I have him pretty much in that like Martin, Natchez, like a little bit below Jesper Bratt and Keller, let's say, like Bratt, Keller, Sam Reinhart, like that tier. So I really do like I think Guenther's one of those guys, like he is the guy. Like at some point in the next 2 or 3 years, he's putting up a 40-40 season. Like I do think he's that good. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, Bobrovsky, Sorokin. Bobrovsky.
Listen,
Bobrovsky guy?
Here's the thing, right? Bob is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He's due for a good one this season. He had a little bit of a rough stretch there last season. And I don't want to take Sorokin just because, like, I like Sorokin, and he'll be fine for the regular season. Just if I happen to make the playoffs with this team, I actually want a goalie to start games. And Sorokin probably – the Islanders have one of the worst goalie schedules in the first 2 weeks of the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really argue with Florida. You know what I mean? Like
they're going to win games.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, exactly. We know they're going to be good again. He's going to be they do have some goalies in the system, but Bobrovsky's still the guy. Like if he's healthy, he's going to get 55 starts or whatever. So yeah, no problem there.
We have been with Stokastic for 5 or 6 years. You must be confusing us with someone else. I worked at DFO probably 8 years ago. Jake popping in with his classic Verhaeghe, my man. He's still a few rounds away from going. We're under contractual obligations to take him. But Elias Pettersson just went there. He's a guy that I'm going to have none of at his ADP. And that's a stand I'm taking. If it burns me, it burns me. What worries me with him is it's not an injury he can have surgery on and just get better. You know what I mean? It's like a nagging thing. If he has a great season, I'm in trouble. And I hope he does. Like, he seems like a decent dude, but like at that ADP, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I agree. Elias Pettersson, 60th overall. Just got some news. He put on 6 kilograms, which is what, 13 pounds?
13.2 pounds.
Yeah. Just real quick, I'm going to bring up the draft board. I just took Jake Sanderson. I will say officially I have I have Moritz Seider ahead of Sanderson, not by much, but for me, it's just the correlation with Brady Tkachuk, right? So Sanderson, don't mind him. Honestly, I think he's one of those guys I honestly think can put up a 60-point season if Ottawa can turn around their even strength scoring, because they're even strength scoring. I think at even strength they were dead last year. That can't happen again. But I really do like Sanderson as a player, and it's pretty clear he's their number one guy now.
So I'm up here, and I have Reinhart. I'm not a huge Barkov guy, and I also don't want to take Hyman with Draisaitl because they don't play a ton at even strength together. So I'm just going to pair Barkov with Reinhart here. I don't love it at the ADP, but
see, I have Barkov ranked pretty highly this year amongst centers. Like my number 15 center. It's just he has a problem staying healthy. It's not like he misses 40 games, but he'll miss like 10, 15 games pretty frequently. Like he's not a guy you can rely on for like 79 or 80 games. That's my problem with drafting Barkov is if he plays 80 games, he's going to have a very, very, very good season. He's just got to play 80 games.
Yeah. He's the late scratch king too. If you're into NBA, he's like the one NBA like guy. He'll be out on warm-ups and then like 2 minutes before a lock, they're like, yeah, he tripped on his laces and cut his patella tendon, so he's out tonight. And you're just like, crap. Got an interesting choice here. I got a couple of my guys staring me in the face here. Alex Tuck was one of them. He just went. Now, I only have 2 wingers and 1 goalie here. I already have Evan Bouchard, so taking Fox here would just be homer overkill. So I'm going to take your boy, Sammy Montembeault. He's actually my boy too. I think he's a top 10 goalie in the league.
I agree. And it's funny seeing all these offseason lists, top 10 goalies in the NHL right now, top 15 goalies, and
all crap.
And they'll never have Montembeault on them. And I'm like, I don't think you guys even watch hockey. Eric Frostback, Eriksson Ek was the center I was going to take. I have him ranked fairly highly this year. I really do like Eriksson Ek this year. So I'm going to gamble a bit on my second goalie. I know I said I hated New Jersey, but I'm taking Jacob Markstrom.
I think, listen, like goalies in this format is FanDuel scoring. Wins are important. As long as the Devils stay healthy, they're going to win a lot of games. So
as long as they stay healthy, pretty operative there. And more than anything, their defense has to stay healthy, right? Like Dougie missed 20 games. Siegenthaler missed a bunch of games. Simon Nemec wasn't even good until like the playoffs. So like, it's a matter of everybody performing as they can and staying on the ice. Like if Jack Hughes gets hurt, obviously that sucks. But if they lose, Dougie for 40 games or 50 games or whatever, like I think that's when they're really going to get into trouble. But
yeah. And Nemec I saw was putting in like an off-season workout plan, whatever that means. Everyone's going to show up in the best shape of their lives in the next few days. So you just got to, weave through all that bullshit. But he had a rough start to last season. So, if he's a player, that definitely helps their blue line.
Yeah. And, they do have a good blue line. They have Dougie. They have Luke Hughes. They have Pesce, who's still solid. They have Siegenthaler. Seamus Casey's on his way up. What can he do? So like they do have players there. So
Patterson putting 13 pounds on after his marriage. Let me tell you something. I've done the marriage thing twice. I've put on a lot more than that both times. So yeah, it's definitely just some extra cake.
Yeah, that'll happen. All right, what are we looking for here? Never mind.
Cliffy on the board here, taking Nikolai Ehlers.
Yeah, took Nick Ehlers. Yeah. I have Ehlers ranked pretty well this year. All of that hinges on him not playing 15 minutes a game like he did in Winnipeg. I got to think that they're going to use him as a top guy, hopefully all season along Sebastian Aho, top power play, all that stuff. If not, we'll see. I was thinking about taking Batherson just to give myself that additional Ottawa power top stack, but
yeah, I'm not taking Demidov here, but 10 picks later on Adam Fox and his ADP, like his redemption tour this season is going to be violent. The problem is he just doesn't shoot the puck a lot, but as long as that power play is good, like at this ADP, it should be fine. Like playing with Gavrikov at 5-on-5 instead of Ryan Lindgren is going to be a huge upgrade. It's the same list, right? Who don't list Montembeault. They had like Adam Fox as the 14th best defenseman in the NHL. He's top 5, probably top 3. Just like the hate this guy gets. Like Ryan Lindgren is so bad that he turned the whole fan base against Adam Fox.
Yeah. And then he goes to Colorado and everybody's like, well, let's see what Ryan Lindgren looks like on a real defense on a real team. And he sucked there too. So
and then signed a 4x4 with Seattle. Seattle, they are committed to mediocrity. Like, I don't know what their plan. They don't have a plan. It's like that South Park where they cut the chicken's head off and throw them on a dartboard. And wherever they land, that's what they do.
I honestly, I think a big part of it is Beniers, right? Like, I think they're really hoping Beniers would be like that game-breaking top-line center. And don't get me wrong, he's good. I think he's underrated, but all of his values come defensively. Like, he's not a good offensive player at all. If he can, start turning around that offense, then I think they're cooking. But until he turns into the guy, like a star, they don't have any of those guys, right? Like their best player might be a defenseman in Vince Dunn, and he's not even like a top 20 defenseman in the league. Like it's not good scenes in Seattle. It kind of sucks.
Our boss Jake Hari here. I already have Barkov. I have Reinhart. Taking him home, the cover boy of our show. Full Florida one. If he's
Can't
there.
hate it.
He should be there because Bennett will play with Samoskevich and Marchand probably.
Yeah, I just took Logan Cooley just to kind of help with my Clayton Keller stack. So now I've got Kachuk and Sanderson. I've got Keller and Cooley. So stacking still there. Only got 2 guys each so far. We'll see how the rest goes, but don't hate it so far.
Cooley's a guy like I feel like if he has another good season, he's going to be going in that Dylan Larkin, Joel Eriksson-Ek range next season.
I feel like I know people are steaming Utah like they are like it seems like they are like the trendy pick, like to be a much better team and especially in fantasy. Like I think, we just saw Mikhail Sergachev go at 104. I did a draft over the weekend. I saw him go 98th. My first draft of the season, he was at pick 120. Like there is some steam on Utah. But I really do think like I wouldn't be surprised if we finish the season. Logan Cooley has 30 goals, 50 assists, 25 power play points. Like I really like he was getting more and more ice time as the season went on last year, and he became the top center on the team, like unquestioned. And if he gets like 19 minutes a game, top line with Keller, top power play with all the weapons that they have, like he could have a really, really good year.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't have him ranked that highly. I have him ranked about where I took him, but he definitely looks like the guy.
Like they're going to want to keep hating with Genther. They were nasty last year. It's just a matter of now they add Peterka into the mix.
Yeah.
Instead of
here I am taking Mr. Svechnikov. Listen, I get that he was underwhelming last year. I still think he was still working his way a little bit back from the knee injury. He was Carolina's best player in the playoffs. They even won a conference final game. And I do worry that there are kind of too many cooks in the kitchen with how many wingers that they have, how many good wingers they have. That does concern me a little bit. But honestly, I think between Jarvis, Ehlers, and Svechnikov, like there are a lot of good wingers there. That does concern me a little bit, but if I can get Svechnikov anytime in the 10th round or later, I'm taking him.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of in a conundrum here. I guess I should just draft a guy at ADP value that I've been propping up all day, and that's Thomas Harley. Even though it doesn't really make sense in my lineup, that's fine. I have 3 defensemen that are really good. Like, I like taking a defenseman late, but like if you can lock down one position pretty well, you don't really have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not drafting like Thomas Chabot late. You know what I mean? Like, nothing against Thomas Chabot, but like, Harley's a different animal. Why? I don't know. Like, listen, I go off vibes here. We're just vibing with 250 people here.
Yeah, but and don't forget the thing with Dallas too is they split a lot of power play time, right? Like even the worst splits, it'll be like 60-40 or something like that. So even if Harley's quote power play two, like Dallas' second power play unit was the better power play unit last year until Heiskanen got hurt and Harley went to the top power play unit, and then all of a sudden the top power play was the best power play. So like
Harley was on both units, wasn't he, when Heiskanen got hurt?
When Heiskanen was out, yeah, he was, because I think they tried Matt Dumba for a game or two and was like, no, can't do that.
What do we got here?
So the guy Ace Elliott picking right now, I'll bring up the draft board. We are in the 11th round. He has 1 defenseman, 1 goalie. Oh, there's a second goalie. Stewie Skins.
There goes Santos.
Speaking of just needing to get some wins.
Frostback's 2 picks ahead of me, and you know what? Since he didn't know hits were a thing until 3 hours ago, I'm taking his boy.
Oof. Anaheim for me is a tough team to figure out. New coach coming in. They've got a lot of good players up front. Nobody's a superstar yet. I do think like Leo Carlsson will be a superstar. I do think Cutter will be a superstar. I do think Jackson Lacombe is kind of knocking on the door. But no, I don't think Mason McTavish, but I don't think anybody's there yet. And it's kind of like the year that they all do come together, that's going to be a big year for Anaheim. It's just whether it's this year or next. I'm taking Charlie McAvoy here. Listen, I have him, I think, as like my number 11 or number 12 defenseman this year. And that's even with only I think I have him projected for 10 power play points or 11 power play points. It's just, he can put up 160 shots. He puts up a ton of blocks in hits. He can get, if he just gets 40 points, like he can be a top 15 fantasy defenseman in this format. So I think Charlie McAvoy is honestly one of the more underrated defensemen. And God forbid Boston actually has a passable power play this year. Mason Lohrei is waiting in the wings. That's the one problem, right? Does Lohrei take top power play minutes? But I do think Charlie McAvoy, as it is honestly one of the best defense values on the board. It's probably the best defense value on the board.
So going back to the Ducks real quick with Cutter Gauthier, we have to wait and see what Q does. Joel Quenneville, coaching again for reasons. Good stuff, Ducks. But Leo Carlsson and Cutter Gauthier played really well down the stretch last season. So I wonder if they keep them together and they kind of, uses that Leo Carlsson line as the quote unquote Jonathan Toews line. I lost his name there for a second. Then they use like McTavish, Terry, whomever as the Anisimov Kane type line. You know what I mean? Because he likes sending out that checking line, but I don't think he wants to use Leo Carlsson in that role. We have to wait to see in camp with him. You never know.
And the other thing I do worry about is like, are they going to do the spread ice time thing, right? Because they don't have the superstars they can give 20 minutes a game to. Is like the third liner is going to get 15 minutes and the top line like 17 and a half. That's what I kind of worry about. Bring up draft again. I'm taking Dylan Cousins here. I have Zibanejad as the better center, but Cousins helps round out my Ottawa stack. And God forbid Dylan Cousins ever has a season where he shoots like even 12% or something.
That's like 41 goals.
It's just, the guy's unbelievable. I do think the top power play is going to be interesting. Kachuk, Stützle, Cousins, Batherson, probably. Listen, Cousins hits a lot. He puts up good shot volume. I think he's a center that's kind of going undervalued as well. I have him as a top 30 center. So
yeah, I like Cousins a lot more than I like. Is DJ watching? He might be, but I've taken some Josh Norris late just because of his role. But I much prefer Cousins around this than like taking Norris in the last round, unless I have like, Tuck or Rasmus Dahlin,
Yeah, I agree.
I took Peterka to go with Genther.
I think I'll bring up the draft real quick. Spencer Knight just went 143rd overall. It's not that I'm a believer in Chicago, but their penalty kill wasn't bad. And if they get even if they're just like a bit below average defensively at 5-on-5, I don't think they're going to score a ton of goals, but I think Spencer Knight could honestly be one of those goalies. Like, we look at the end of the season and he's like the 16th goalie or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I do worry about split starts and all that, but I do think Spencer Knight is like one of those goalies where, like, if you're getting towards the end of a draft and you need a third goalie, like, I don't mind Spencer Knight, honestly.
Yeah. I was going to take him there, but Peterka fell. So I took Jack Reeves to round out my goalies. I still need 2 centers and a winger. I'll probably, down in the garbage bin with my centers. But I have Draisaitl and Barkov, so it's not like I started drafting centers late. Sam Erson's an interesting goalie pick. That was a little early, but like, they were a good defensive team a few years ago, and Torts' system is miserable for goalies. So, like, he seems like a decent bounce back. Not that he's like an elite goalie or anything, but if the Flyers are going to be any kind of good, like, Erson should have a decent season.
I talked about this in our Discord like a couple months ago. I do think the Flyers played I know Torts is known as like this defensive, grinded down type of coach. That's not the way the Flyers played. They played pretty high risk, force turnovers, create off the rush types of offense. That's not the way that Rick Tocchet is going to have the Flyers playing. And I do think having Tocchet slow the game down, focus more on controlled play and controlled zone entries, and making sure you don't give up, 2-on-1s and 4-on-2s and those types of things that the Flyers gave up all the time. I honestly, like, this is kind of going to be the make or break year for Erson. Like, if he doesn't have a good year this year, I think like that's kind of it. He's cooked. And I do think there is some upside to him still. All right. My last draft, I did it as a joke. This time I'm going to do it for real. Will Cooley.
Listen, he had 300 hits last year. If he plays the full season in the top 6, he could get close to 30 goals.
Yeah, the joke is Josh and I did a draft over the weekend, and I misclicked Cooley and took him. I forget what it was. It was like 118th overall or something like that. It's just like way, way, way too early. But I do like Cooley quite a bit. I probably could have gone elsewhere. I do think Morgan Geekie's pretty undervalued. Like, I know he shot 22% or whatever, but if you're going to play 17, 18 minutes a game, 5-on-5 and on the power play next to David Pasternak, I don't mind taking you. So I could have taken Geekie there, but yeah, so it goes.
I took Duchesne there since I took Harley. It's not the best correlation, but I have a lot of Monahan. So I don't have a ton of Duchesne. And that line for stretches of the past 2 seasons has been their best line. I know that Marchman's gone. I know that Granlund's gone, but Duchesne, Sagan, X has been a very good line.
Yeah.
Kent Johnson going 167. I started, he's my boy. I'm glad to see he had a good season. He only had 3 hits last year, though. A full season. 3. Maybe he cranks it up to 7 this year, but yeah.
Bo Jenner, 170th. That's a guy that always rates very well for me on a per game basis. The problem is like, is he going to play like 55 games? Is he going to play like 30 games? Like, that's just kind of the issue. Hopefully, I'd love to see him just have a full healthy season this year, just to kind of see what he can do. But it's also going to cut into Monahan and Fantilli, though. It'll be really interesting to see how that top 6 shakes out for Columbus.
Yeah, I mean, if you're taking him as your 4th center, that's completely fine, because when he's healthy, he is a menace on the ice. So I just took Leo Carlson right in front of Frostback again, from the heart.
Okay, does anybody realize Mark Stone was over a point per game last year?
Yeah, but he's one of those guys who'll like, I know there's new rules now, so like this is definitely the Vegas rule, with them like putting guys on. Okay, his spleen was lacerated, Leafs fans. Relax. But like,
it's like,
he's healthy, he's nasty.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, if I get 65 games from him, I'm going to get 65 games of a top 100 player. And as my 6th winger, I think that's just perfectly fine. We are nearing the end of the draft here. We have one more pick to make each.
Yeah.
So we are here at the turn. Rasmus Anderson. Josh Norris is interesting. He's in that old Dylan Cousins spot in Buffalo. Now, I don't think he's going to play with Tage Thompson, and that sucks, but he's going to get 18-plus minutes a game. He hits a lot. He doesn't shoot a ton, but, over 2 shots and, over 2 hits per game, like, that's pretty valuable to get this late in the draft.
Any chance we can look at maybe we'll leave the draft board up in the pick by pick kind of the screen Cliffy has now, so you guys can kind of follow along. Otherwise, we're just rambling. Yeah, maybe going forward in the next week or so, we can do that.
Yeah. Thing is like, people that we're drafting with are watching this show, and I don't want to pull up the draft board with all my Q players in it.
Oh, I just mean like the big draft board, so people can see who's.
Yeah. All right. So there goes Rossi and Lehkonen. Lekkonen's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the winger situation swings in Colorado, because they really only have 4 wingers now. Natchez, Nichushkin, Landeskog, and Lehkonen. 3 of them might end up on the power play, depending on what they do with Brock Nelson. Lehkonen could be one of them, but
I think Brock Nelson is going to be in the spot. It's like he's one of their only. I lost my train of thought.
No, finishing off my Chicago duo stack with Sam Rinzel.
He's lefty, right? He's a left shotter.
Rinzel?
No, Brock Nelson.
It's a good question. Yeah.
Because they don't have any lefties. So I think Brock Nelson is probably pretty much on the power play now that I don't know. We'll see. Like, Nichushkin had a bad season last year. Wasn't healthy.
Patty Kane went in the final round. Anders Lee. Anders Lee's interesting. He had a pretty good year last year. It kind of sucks that they brought in Jonathan Drouin. That feels like a direct block for any meaningful minutes for Lee. So is he going to play 17 minutes again? But the guy had 29 goals, 233 shots, 121 hits. That's a pretty good season to get for a guy that to get in the last round for a guy like that. Tyler Seguin, Lafreniere. Remember when Lafreniere was like a top 70 pick last year?
Oh, I remember.
I never understood it last year. Honestly, I think pick 188 is probably a little late. Probably should be like a top 150 pick, give or take. but he just had no path to power play time. I don't know what people saw in him.
Maybe he has power play time this year. We'll see who replaces Kreider.
Panarin, Miller, Trocheck, Lafreniere.
Zibanejad.
There you go. That's the problem.
Yeah, but who's going to play net front? Like
Trocheck?
Trocheck plays the bumper. Miller, yeah, it's probably not Lafreniere.
So yeah, that's the full draft board. I'll pull up mine and Josh's teams here, or I'll just make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, Miller probably goes to the net front now that Kreider's gone, and then Trocheck in the bumper, Mika and Panarin on the wings, and Fox running point.
So this is the full draft board here. I have Logan Cooley and Keller as a 2-man. I have Tkachuk, Sanderson, and Cousins as a 3-man. And I have Rinzel, Connor Bedard as a 2-man, and Svechnikov and Ehlers as a 2-man. So 3 2-man stacks, 1 3-man stack. I wish I would have gotten another 3-man stack, but I didn't get to take Sebastian Aho. Like, there's no one really from Chicago that I really wanted to take. Probably could have reached for Sergachev, instead of taking Ehlers, but, I didn't want to take Sergachev as a top 90 pick. So kind of happy with my team. You started Draisaitl and Reinhart. Why don't you talk about your team a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I started with Draisaitl. I was in between like Vasilevsky or Reinhart. I went Reinhart. So I paired him with Barkov. I got Verhaeghe at 102. So I have a 2-man Draisaitl and Bouchard. I have full Florida 1, assuming that is the line. For some reason, I took Harley at 115, so I rounded him out with Duchesne and Sagan, even though that doesn't really correlate. Maybe they play some 5-on-5 together. Basically, I'm just an idiot. And then I have Carlson and Cutter Gauthier as a 2-man. Then I have, Dylan Genther and JJ Peterka. I have a feeling they're going to play together 5-on-5. Obviously, that's going to suck if we get into camp and, Nick Schmaltz isn't in the top 6 and they move Peterka up. But, I have Bobrovsky, Sam Montembeault, Jack Reeves as my goalies. Don't mind that. I try to get, Hellebuck is whatever at his ADP. If I'm in that 6, 7, 8 pick range, I try to get one of Jake Ottinger, Igor Shesterkin. I went a different route today, but I don't mind this team. Not the most favorite team I've ever drafted, but you get into it and you just kind of see where it takes you. And this was an interesting thing. Sometimes the teams you don't like end up performing the best. So you don't have biases towards it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing is we all think our team's going to be a really good team sitting here in the second week of September. We'll see when the hockey actually gets going. But, I will say there's not I didn't Will Cooley this draft or I didn't really screw up a pick. So I'm pretty happy with the guys I got. Last draft I had 3 guys in my queue before my 3rd round pick, and all 3 guys went 1, 2, 3, and the 3 picks right before me. And it just really kind of threw me off. But being able to start Tkachuk, Celebrini, and Keller, that's pretty much a dream start for me. It seems like Celebrini is getting some steam on his ADP. I'm going to bring up Fantasy Oracle. People, if you're on Twitter, you should follow Puck Oracle on Twitter, ORACLE. He keeps track of ADPs. He does a lot of best ball stuff. He's a really, really good follow for that. There has been some steam on Celebrini or Macklin Celebrini. September 2nd, 28.2. September 9th, 26.5. So he is starting to inch up. I will say I do have Celebrini as a top 12 forward this year. So taking him in the top 20, I think is perfectly fine. So it's just a matter of when can you wait to get him. I think Celebrini is at the point where if you're going to be waiting past, I probably wouldn't, unless I have the 2-3 turn or something like that, or I'm picking, 26th maybe, close to the turn. I wouldn't expect to get Celebrini anywhere past 30 anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Moods and DJ. They did a couple best puck streams the past few weeks. I tuned in. One of the things Moods was talking about, he's not a huge fan of, like, when I get the first 3 picks, sometimes I'll take, Matthews at 3, and then I'll take Celebrini around when you did. And Moods isn't on board with that so much. I don't mind it because of the extra utility spot now. Centers don't really just get destroyed anymore. It really depends on your build, though, because there are some really good wingers in that spot. But if you can start like how you started with like Brady Tkachuk, Celebrini, I think that's completely fine. I don't even mind going Matthews, Celebrini, because center really falls off until the end after that. Like, there's some decent picks in the middle there, like Larkin or Joel Eriksson Ek, Barkov if he plays, 70 games. But that middle area of centers is just kind of meh. And then you can get good guys late. So I don't mind starting with 2 elite centers early just because of the extra utility spot now.
Yeah, I agree. That's the only reason why I honestly don't mind reaching on him and taking 4 centers and all that. So, but it's just one draft. We're going to be doing these every Tuesday from now until the season starts. So the season starts October 7th. So we're going to do 3 more of these, September 16th, 23rd, and 30th. Same time, 8 p.m. Eastern here, talking NHL season. And by this time next week, we're going to be through rookie camp with training camps right around the corner. Hopefully a little bit more news to talk about. Good draft, though. Good first season. First show. You didn't buffer at all. You're fairly clear. All systems go for the first hour of the NHL season. So that's got to feel good.
Yeah, I need to get a camera because I had it in 1080p, and then it was just like, you really need really good internet for that. I was like, oh man, I don't trust this shit. But I'm gonna get it. Someone, send me some camera recommendations, and I'll buy some, and I'll use the best one. But yeah, if this is a thing going forward with this internet, it's gonna make my blood pressure come down.
Yeah. Well, think that about wraps it up for tonight.
Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. No, but yeah, still need the 101 of pizza. Hey, listen, you can follow at Pizza by Ocho on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram. I have some stuff pinned to my stuff there. Dough, sauce, cheese. That'll give you the 101 of pizza. And, I'm going to try to keep pumping out videos until my doctor tells me if I don't, I'll die. So maybe I just won't eat the pizza and I'll start giving it away, but you can check that out there. But yeah, I enjoyed drafting online. It was good to be back. 284 of you currently in the chat. I feel like at least 280 of you guys got lost expecting an NBA or MLB show. NBA. What am I talking about? But yeah, no, but we'll be back 8 p.m. Eastern next week. If you guys have any suggestions, you can hit us up on Twitter. We'll try to figure out how to get the draft board up without giving away our picks going forward. We just kind of threw this together and did it, but I had a lot of fun. We'll see you guys next week, 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you need more best ball stuff, follow Moods, follow DJ Mitchell. It's at Fake Moods on Twitter. Those guys do some really good stuff for Best Puck as well. So we'll see you next Tuesday.
See everybody next week.